He said, "Hey, John, I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for about 6 months, and I've noticed some consistent behaviors related to her phone usage that are causing me some concern. She keeps her Instagram notifications turned off and mutes no notifications, almost all of her text conversations, including mine, although she's always very quick to respond to me. Additionally, she uses a privacy screen protector and habitually places her phone face down. She explains that she mutes everything to avoid being disturbed by constant notifications and her phone vibrating. I also want to note that I notice she has always had her phone set up like this from the beginning when we first started talking." Okay. She has never given me any reason to doubt her or not trust her in the past, and I understand that everyone has their own preferences regarding phone usage. I'm curious about your perspective on whether these behaviors could be considered a lack of transparency in a relationship, as you often emphasize the importance of openness and honesty in relationships. I'm wondering if this could be a potential red flag. I'm wondering if I'm hesitant to bring this up with her, as I don't want to come across as insecure or distrusting. Your perspective on the situation would be greatly valued.
So this is not the topic.
No, this is not the topic. It's just kind of just a random. I was like, because I did a video and I was like, oh, maybe I should see what do you think about that?
Multiple things. So privacy screen to me is just very weird in general.
Yeah, that's like, the weird one. Yeah.
Are you sending nudes all the time or something? Like, why do you need a privacy screen? Like, are you scared strangers are peering over your shoulder? Like, and then if you're using it for like your partner or you don't want them to see, that's obviously a red flag. So I'm like, privacy screen in general, like,
Now he said that she had it when he first met her.
Right. So that's where I'm like, is she really afraid that like these things are happening? Like that people are peering over her shoulder just wherever she's at, like the grocery store? Because that's very weird to me. I don't know. Like, so I don't get the point of those. But the other stuff, it's kind of tricky because even sometimes with you, I know you're not doing anything, but sometimes you put your phone down like this.
This is my habit because I don't want to disturb.
Or sometimes your notifications are silenced or whatever. And I'll be like, why? No, like, I mean, well, that like silence where you don't get notifications. But even sometimes I'm texting you at random points during the day and it's like this person has their phone on silent or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, I wouldn't say that those things are like a red flag.
Right.
The privacy screen, I just don't understand. Yeah. But like, and with men, it's different. If this was like a woman saying this, I'd be like, your intuition is telling you something, which it still might be the case for this guy too. Right. I'm not saying men can't have that, but women just tend to be able to tap into it easier. I mean, if he's concerned where he's noticing it, he needs to have a conversation if he hasn't already. And if she's like, this is just how it is, then to me, I'd be like, okay, now the problem is that this person doesn't even care about what I'm trying to say and is not trying to like either like talk about it or, change things if things need to be changed. So I would say it's not even like all these things that are like a surefire, like, yes, she's doing something shady. It's more so that like, if you talk to her about it and express how you feel about it and she doesn't care, then that is all you need to know right there.
Right. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because the same with a guy. Like if a girl was like, hey, you have a privacy screen and you're turning your phone over and you have your notifications off. Yeah. And he was just like, you're just being insecure. I'd be like, look, if that's how you're responding to like me just like not coming at you, just being like, hey, like I notice these things and it's probably me like freaking out a little bit, but like it has concerned me. Yeah. If you just freaked out, I'd be like, okay, well that tells me enough. Like I'm not saying that you're guilty, but the fact that you don't care is now the actual issue.
Yeah. The proper answer is my phone password is this. Like, because then it's like, I got nothing. So that's the easiest, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I think most people can't actually do that, which is a concern, right? But most people can't actually do that, right? So, I mean, I told him, like I said, based on the privacy filter thing, because the other things, I mean, it's good habit, actually, the other things. Really, we should all turn our notifications off, put our phones down when we're talking to someone face down so that it doesn't show up and you don't get disturbed. So those are all good, like, practices. So there could be really good, valid reasons for it. She could just be a really smart person and conscious of her time.
Well, I don't have a lot of notifications on actually like notifications that show up on the app. Like some will come through, like I have some notifications on, but I don't like when I can see almost like the email, how many things are waiting for me.
Exactly.
So I turn that off because then I feel like I'm clicking that app more.
Yeah.
It's not to like hide. It's to like keep myself from like constantly being on something, which I'm still constantly on some of the things, but it's just like a helpful thing.
And that's why I turn off a lot of my notifications. But the privacy screen thing, then I was like, I mean, she could work a corporate job where she's dealing with financial or sensitive information. That could be, and she's checking her phone.
Could
but I think he would know that. The other thing is that
wouldn't you have a work phone, like a separate?
I would think so.
Normally?
So my thing I suspected was that she's either doing OnlyFans or she's got a sugar daddy or some kind of thing going on that she had the privacy screen from the very beginning. So but hey,
I wouldn't go all the way there.
But I was like, this is just a guess. I said, but I don't think that that's accurate. I just said this is something. The only thing that like I would start to possibly think that. But I told him there's 3 ways you can handle the situation.
Well, really quick, it's best not to guess because now you're just putting stuff in his head.
Okay, yeah.
That might not even be true. And now he's going to freak out even more. Like I said, I feel like the best way to handle it is approach the situation with his actual concerns that he came to you with in a certain way. Like, don't be accusatory, whatever, because you don't know why she has these things.
Right.
And it sounds like he doesn't know.
Right.
And then go based on what she says, how she reacts, because you don't know what she's doing. Right. And maybe she is doing those things, but maybe she's not. And if she cares about you and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, here's my password. Like, I didn't want to come across that way.
Then you're good.
Then now you don't have any problems.
Yeah.
But then if you're already like spiraling, which is what women typically do. So I can come at this. Like, this is what women typically do. They're like, oh God, he's hiding his phone. He's cheating on me with like 5 other women. And sometimes that is true.
Sometimes,
So I'm not saying that like that might not be a possibility. But if you give him the worst case scenario, it's going to make him spiral even more than he already is about these things.
Yeah. I mean, he should think about it though still because it's still, but I get what you're saying. So,
I mean, everybody should think about it.
I mean, I told him there was 3 possible options, right? And I was like, it's up to you. But I said, number 1, it depends on how much information you want to know, right? If you want to know all the information, if you really want to know what's going on, the only way to do that is to look at her phone when she's not around.
Okay.
I said I don't necessarily advise this, but I said if you want to know all the information, and the reason why that's the only option to know all the information is because any other option, she's going to know you're onto her and she's going to cover up her tracks, right?
Yeah, but I feel like you should have a conversation first.
Well,
because she might just give you her phone.
Okay, based on the fact that she has done nothing else for him to distrust her, that's what I said. I said I probably wouldn't do number 1 based on that. Right. Because, if there was some other kind of hint of something that was going on, then maybe you need to do your own sleuthing. And it's like, and I was like, also, look, if you're going to marry someone also, being a little bit of a private eye and like doing a background check, like investigating them a little bit, that's an okay thing to do if you're going to commit your life to someone, right? I mean, they've been together for 6 months. I don't know where he's going with that, but I wouldn't be so like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's spying.
Yeah, but I think you should have a conversation because I feel like anybody, if like you didn't have a conversation about like being open and looking at each other's phones and then you come home and you're like boyfriend's just digging through your phone.
Yeah, it's a little.
You'd be like, what? Like even if you had nothing to hide, you'd be like, he doesn't trust me in some ways.
Right.
And but if you have the conversation where you're like, we're going to be open in this relationship, like you can look at my phone anytime, I could look at your phone anytime. If I came back home and he was looking at my phone, it wouldn't feel as like a betrayal of trust because it's open and you already know it's open and it's like.
However, if you're covering your tracks, you already know.
But if you think she's at that extent, then there is other problems.
Well, if he didn't have any, that's why I was saying like number 1 is kind of the option that exists if you suspect something, which he didn't suspect anything. So I think, number 1 is probably not the option. Number 2, I told him, depending on how much information you want to know, is you do a out of the blue, hey, let's look at each other's phones. Right. Like, or you could say, oh, I saw this TikTok where this guy was like doing this loyalty test and they swap phones. Let's do that. And then see what she does and see if she freaks out. Or just ask to borrow her phone for a minute and see what happens.
This seems so messy to me. That's why I would just be like, have the conversation and based on their response, be like, all right, well, you don't value this relationship. Well, and maybe that makes me too cold of a like cut a person off. But it's like.
I agree with that. But if you ask someone, like, if they don't know it's coming and you say, hey, can I look at your phone? How they respond to that in those few critical seconds will tell you all the information you need to know.
I mean,
because,
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I told him, it's like, if you do that one, you're probably going to, like, if she doesn't immediately give you her phone, you're probably going to need to break up with her at that point. Because then you know absolutely that she's hiding something, right? Because, and I said the problem with that option with number 2 over number 1 is that you won't know for sure what it was that she was hiding. Because now she's going to hide it real good, right? And so you're going to have to just assume that it's something bad. And then number 3, the option is to just have the conversation, just to say,
I guess
hey.
I just don't feel like the things that he described are worth like springing something. Like it's worth having a conversation to me at the level. Like if he was like, she keeps getting these texts from this one person and then she gets very secretive, that's different.
Well, he can't even see the notifications come up. So that's the thing is, so, and he can't see her phone because she's got a screen privacy filter. So at that point, it's like, I mean, the thing is, if you have the conversation, like option 3, the problem with that, the drawback that I had with that was that you're never going to know. And if she is hiding something, she's going to hide it where you won't find it. So that's the problem with.
I'm like, if you're this worried, is this the person for you?
I mean, no, I mean, anyone would be concerned about those kind of things. It's like, that's the thing about it is that it's, you know, that it's a hard, well, what I came back to was it's like the episode that we had about the 6 rules of relationship. That's where you messed up, was because you should have see, this is why I tell people, like, if from the beginning you got the locations on, you got the transparency with the phones, with all the stuff, where there's none of this possible, then you don't have to worry about it. Then it's not, but now he's in a situation where he's got to, it concerns him, so he has to address it in either 1, 2, or 3 of the ways that I said, and none of them look really that great. I mean, there's, you know, pros and cons. But anyways, I just thought it would be interesting to get
complicated.
It's a complicated situation.
Better than